Hi guys, welcome to Watch Me Wednesday. Today we're going to paint some impressionistic palette knife roses. I went ahead and did the background, and I'm going to explain to you what I did, how I did it. What I used was a DIY paint. This is a chalk paint and it's clay based. So as you can see, it's kind of dull, not real pretty. But when it dries, it turns this darker kind of muted color, but when you seal it, the color pops back out. So like this dark green that I have splattered over the top is actually this really gorgeous emerald green called Monet's Garden, and when I seal it, it will pop back to this color. So right now it doesn't look real good, but when it dries, gets all dry, and I get it sealed, it will look gorgeous. So what I did was I just took the white, which is White Swan, and I put a basic coat over the entire back of the canvas just to give it a primer coat. And then I took, it's called French Millinery, and this is a gray lavender color. We're going to be painting yellow peachy roses, and so this is a complementary color to that. And I put that skipping through there, leaving some white, and then I went with Water Lily, which is a blue with a little bit more of a lavender wisteria kind of color. So it also will be complementary to our roses. And I just skip troweled with my handy dandy putty knife across to just give areas of that color. And then, because I will put in leaves and stems to the roses, but I like to have a little more greenery in there, and I'm not actually doing a rose bush like the picture that I showed. I'm going to be just doing the roses, just a few of them on the background. And so I took Monet's Garden and I took Fancy Farm Girl. And how I did this pattern was I just dipped my fingers in and just slung it up there. And that's how I did that. Now, if you can do all of this with regular acrylic, and you just follow exactly what I said until you get to the slinging part. The acrylic you can sling, but it's a little harder. You've got to water it down a little. It's just a little harder to do. So a couple of options for you. I have really strange things that I use that aren't necessarily artist tools. I have the syringe without needle, and water down some paint. You'll not want to do that on the vertical surface like this. You'll want to lay it down flat and water down some paint and suck it up, and then you can slowly push it out and make whatever design you want. Or with this, put a little paint in, add a little water so that it's, you don't want a lot, just a little bit, so that it's a little more fluid, and then you can do the same thing. If you get it too fluid, you're going to get just drops of paint, so you're not going to get a nice line. And so those are a couple of options to get this look if you don't want to just stick your fingers in and start slinging paint, which can be kind of messy, but you do need to lay your canvas on a flat surface and leave it on the flat surface until it dries. That's why I went ahead and did the background ahead of time, is because this did need to dry. With the DIY paint, I'm able to leave it upright, but it did need to be able to dry so that it wasn't smearing when we did our palette knife roses. So now I'm going to turn you here just a little bit so that you have a little better view. You don't need to see me so much. Okay, so as I mentioned, I've not done the yellow peachy colored roses before, and so I played a little bit earlier with them. Now normally when you're doing these roses, what you will do is you'll put your darkest color down first, then your mid-tone, then your highlight. With this, I'm going to go ahead and go with my yellow as my background, and I'm going to layer my oranges, peaches over the top. So what I have done is I have taken orange yellow and I mixed it with white and a little bit of lemon yellow, And then I have just plain lemon yellow. And then I have lemon yellow mixed with white and a little bit of this orangey mixture mixed again with a little white and yellow to make it a highlight color. So we have some colors here. And so what we're going to do, this is easier when you use heavy bodied paints, which I don't have. I just have the regular acrylic paint. I'm going to move you up just a little bit. So I don't have the heavy body paint. So, but what you're going to do is you're going to make like a cup, okay? So you're going to make this little cup look with your palette knife. And how big you make this cup is how big your rose is going to be, okay? And then we're going to come, take a little bit more, come down the center here. Okay, and then you're gonna make the cup's handle out here, and you're gonna do that on both sides. So you're gonna have the cup's handle, and then you're gonna add a saucer. It's gonna come down here. Okay, and that is going to primarily be your base coat on your rose. So a lot of times I will not do the background before I do the roses because you don't necessarily want it shining through. So we're going to just make sure that we don't have any of that coming through, that we have a thick enough coat. Okay, then we'll go ahead, that will be a full rose. Let's go ahead and put a smaller rose down here. So we're going to go ahead and do our cup. And because it will be smaller, we're not actually going to do real big handles here. We're just going to do a little teeny indent there and a little across the bottom here. Sorry about my dogs. They get very hyper when there is people out and about. Okay, let's bring this down just a little bit more. All right. Let's do a bud up here. So we're just going to get good coverage and put this little bud there. Okay. And then we're going to put another small rose up here. So we're going to do our cup and our cup. And you notice when you do the cup on the big one, you have that center pole. You don't necessarily do that when you're doing the little ones. Go ahead and put the little bit out here for the handle on your cup. And across the bottom, we'll put the saucer. We've got that good and covered there because we don't want that background showing through. And we go to add more color. Okay, and that is 4. I like to have an odd number, so we're going to put another one here and we're going to make it another little bud. So we're just going to, this little bud right here. Okay, then we're going to rinse our palette knife. We're going to go into our darker of our peachy orange color and This is where the part becomes tricky. You want it to be wet because you want it to mix a little bit, but you don't want it to mix a whole lot. And the reason we went with the yellow first instead of putting the peach on is that you end up, if you do it the other way, you end up with a whole lot of peach and very little yellow. And so what you want to do here is you want to put a petal, and you want to put a petal, and you want to put a petal. Okay? And with your little bud, you're just going to put just a little bit of this color in here. More in there. Without overpowering a little bud. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and rinse my knife now. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do the same thing here. Put a little petal. Put a little petal. Put a little petal, and here, petal, petal, and petal. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of play. And so I'm going to bring this up and around. And then just kind of swirl it through here. And try to keep the background where it's not showing through, that you've got that coverage. So as you're swirling, you don't want to press real hard. And then you can just bring this down a little bit and just work it until it appears to look like a rose to you. Just make sure that, like I said, your background is fully covered. And you can pick up a little bit more of the orange color and outline some of these outer petals. But you want to make sure that you're not blending a bunch and losing that yellow that you've got going. When you add the yellow on top of the orange, you lose a lot of that yellow. And that's why we're doing the yellow on the bottom, even though it is the lighter color. Go ahead and do the same thing here. Just drag this around, add a little more. And we're just going to swirl it until we have the look of a rose. Now this one we're going to have to add a little bit more yellow. Our yellow is getting lost in the center. We don't want to lose our yellow. So just keep working it, playing with it till you feel that it looks like a rose. Oop. Take this, come around. And we'll move up here to this one. I don't know what she heard that time, because I didn't hear it. Her name's Tika, by the way. She's a very friendly girl. But she's a herding dog, so she likes to go out on motorcycles. She really, really likes to go out and bark at motorcycles. But I didn't hear one go by, so I have no idea what she's barking at this time. Alright, now you do want good amount of texture on these. They will take a while to dry, but that's okay. And having the texture allows you to go in and take a little bit of the paint off to give you the swirls that you're looking for, but you don't want to uncover that background. So it's a little trickier when you've done the background first. Okay, now I'm going to take a little of this lighter peach and just do some highlighting with it. So you don't want a lot on your palette knife, just a little bit. Just kind of skip over areas that you think should have a little bit of highlight to it. And there again, without going deep enough to bring out your background as you're bringing the highlight on. So just a little at a time. And you don't want to cover up all your orange, you don't want to cover up all your yellow. You just want to add this other color in there. Kind of use it to define some of these petals. That would be through here. And in some areas when you go to do that, you are going to want more paint, because it's just, if you don't have enough, it's not going to sit on top of the paint that's already there. Jump over and use this lighter yellow. So this is a very light yellow with just yellow and white mixed in. And normally you would have just the one highlight color. But hey, it's your painting and you can do what you want, and I wanted the extra highlight color. Just as a contrast. Go back into the yellow. I'm going to bring a little bit more of that up through here. into the peach. And okay. This is a whole lot easier when your dark color is the bottom, because you're not as concerned with pulling up the underlaying that you've got there and having that background show through. And normally you would want the depth of your flower to be in the center there. And so that's where you would have the shadow. And that's a little bit harder to do when you're using the light color as your base. But when you're doing the palette knife, you're not going after realistic, you're going after impressionistic. At least that's what I'm going after. There are people out there, I'm sure, that can use the palette knife and get realistic. I'm not one of those people, so. I am going to try something that I haven't as of yet. Take just a little bit of this orange that's full strength and try bringing it right in here to the center. Doing a little sculpting with that. Too much on my palette knife now. I'm using very, very little of this as I come through here. And I'm just putting a little bit down in the areas where maybe there's a deep groove as it is, and a little bit of that background is showing through. And we want it to not show through, but we do want that contrast. So I'm just bringing it through there. Okay. My sound is up. I wonder, I'm hoping that you guys could hear me through all of that because I forgot to check my sound. Which I reminded myself to do before I hit live, and then obviously instantly forgot it. All right, I think I like that one, so we're gonna do that with these other ones. A little bit of that whole orange color in there. All right, and let's take a little bit of this darker up here and do the same thing. This one. And yellow out here on the edge. this one a little bit bigger there. And then pull in some of this darker orange again. Okay. Let's get just a touch more of this darker orange. And let's bring it in at the base here. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to want to do is let this dry just a little bit before we start adding our green right at the base of our flowers. But we can take and add some stems in. We just can't do that greenery right there at the base just yet until it dries some. So let's go ahead and add some stems. Definitely more defined to be part of individual roses. And because I want them to be thinner, I'm just using the sides. Sorry about those dogs. Okay. This one. And then let's do this one coming down here. They are going to break just a little bit when you go over the texture that we have from the splatters that we added earlier. like how that one's got a break there, so let's go ahead and fill that in. All right, so then we're going to take and add, probably could have let this dry just a little longer, but we'll make it work. Going to take this off here, and from there we're going to put a leaf and a leaf and a leaf. Over here, come up here. Right. Bigger leaf here. Bigger leaf there. Okay. Let's come up here. How's that looking? Okay. So then I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit of the light in. Just to give a little bit of a contrast there. There we go. Now more contrast on these leaves. Got going here. And there, let's get a little of the dark and contrast from there. These are just kind of sitting on top. We want those kind of swirled in. Let's swirl those in. I think that was the only one that was an issue. Let's get a little of this dark and add our contrast in. Oops, I stuck my finger in the paint. All right, and this one here needs a leaf. Just to add a little more color in there. All right, let's add a little bit of the contrasting color. This really light green. Let's get some. Let's see, I think you'll do nicely. Get some water in that. And get it good and wet. And just do some splatter. That brush and take a little bit of this and mix in with that lighter color and some water and do a little bit different color splatter just to give it a little more vibrancy. How do we think? I like it. All right, so we'll let that dry and then we'll clear coat it. And once it dries, everything that was this chalk paint is going to dull down, and you can tell the difference between the wetness of the leaves here, which are chalk paint, is the same colors as these leaves, and how dull these are where those are not. And so once we have it fully cured and we add our clear coat, it will bring back that vibrancy to all of these splatters as well, and those will pop off as well. And so this is our Watch Me Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you give it a try. If you do, please put a picture of it so that I can see it. I love to see your guys' work, and thank you so much for spending time with me. I'm not exactly sure what we'll do next week. Sorry, this never works well to try to move it around. Not exactly sure what we're going to do next week. We'll figure that out as we go. Maybe another flower, maybe another animal. We don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll let you know beforehand, probably next Monday, what we're going to be doing. Thank you for spending time with me. If you like this, please give me a like and share it with your friends, and help me build my my business page. And I did start a YouTube channel, so it is Giddy Hen over on YouTube. I do painting on that one, as well as other videos that are handy. And so next week, weather permitting, I got a patio table I'm going to be filming for YouTube. It was broken. It was tile on top. It was broken, so I pulled that out. We're going to be resining it so that it never breaks again. And I'll be filming that and putting that on YouTube. So if you'd like to see that, Giddy Hen over on the YouTubes. All right. Thank you so much, and you guys have a wonderful week. We'll catch you next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.